Good morning. It is Monday. Yes, Monday, May 13th, 2014. And welcome to the BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. And for the next 60 minutes, just sit back, relax as we give you the joy revolution that you seek. Because we will keep you and get you informed, enlightened, entertained, and spiritually fed. Now, later on this hour, we will touch on Anita Baker disappointing a lot of mothers this weekend. We will talk about Shaq being in his feelings, and we will touch on wisdom being a principal thing. That is all on tap for the rest of this program. But for now, let us get you started up. And here's what's going on in the world today. A prominent Idaho emergency room doctor, known as an experienced backcountry skier, was killed after he triggered an avalanche while skiing Friday. Preliminary report was released. The accident occurred roughly about 11:55 local time, according to the report. The two skiers were climbing down their ski descent when the doctor triggered, as they said, and was caught in a small wind slab avalanche. A mother remembers the time someone wished her a happy Mother's Day, and she broke down in tears right in the middle of a Wegmans supermarket. The Collingswood, New Jersey woman said the following when that happened. Quote, "I found Mother's Day to be impossible." Close quote. And the reason why she found it impossible was that she got pregnant 6 times and unfortunately had 6 miscarriages. Motherhood, she worried, might never have been a thing for her, and then the realization and reminders were painful. That was until a former board member of the Recurrent Pregnancy Loss Association found herself becoming a mom 4.5 years ago. And then after a non-viable pregnancy in 2020, she gave birth to twins via in vitro fertilization nearly 2 years ago. So congratulations to you on being a new mom, and I hope everything goes well in your maternal journey. The first person to ever receive a kidney from a pig has died, according to Massachusetts General Hospital. No, not the soap opera, the true General Hospital in Massachusetts, where the transplant was performed back in March. In a statement late Saturday, the transplant team had no indication of his death, and they didn't think it was as a result of his transplant, which the hospital had heralded as a major scientific achievement. The 62-year-old systems manager for the Massachusetts Department of Transportation had already endured a transplant with a human kidney that had to be removed because of complications and was struggling with a 3 times a week dialysis when he agreed to the experimental pig kidney procedure. Dozens of students participated in a walkout during Duke University's commencement ceremony Sunday to protest comedian Jerry Seinfeld, a supporter of Israel who was invited as a guest speaker. The comedian, who has supported Israel throughout the war in Gaza, gave his speech largely without interruption. The walkout was one of the latest commencement disruptions to come amid continued protests on college campuses of Israel's war in Gaza. On Saturday, protesting students at Virginia Commonwealth University walked out as Governor Glenn Youngkin delivered the commencement address. On the same day, students at University of California, Berkeley interrupted commencement with pro-Palestinian chants. For rural and lower-income Americans, staying healthy will become more time-consuming, with longer drives and wait times for doctors following Walmart's decision last month to exit the primary care business. Now, experts say experts say this, as Walmart announced on April 30th that it would close all 51 of their health centers in 5 states and shut down its virtual healthcare service because it just simply wasn't a sustainable business model. The move was marked as a sudden shift for the giant retailer, which had said in previous month that it planned to expand its virtual 24/7 healthcare, which that would include video, chat, and calls, and its brick and mortar health centers, which were open during business hours, business hours of the store, and staffed by primary care physicians and licensed nurse practitioners. Former President Donald Trump is dismissing a report that he is considering his GOP primary opponent, Nikki Haley, as a running mate. Trump wrote on his social media platform Truth on Saturday that, quote, Nikki Haley is not under consideration for the VP slot, but I wish her well. Close quote. Axios cited 2 people familiar with the dynamic, reported that Haley was actually in the running to be his nominee for VP. The 2 had a contentious primary battle, and Haley has not endorsed Trump. Many of his supporters are also continued to be wary of the former president, a warning sign as he seeks to consolidate Republicans ahead of the general election. Rudy Giuliani was suspended from WABC radio on Friday for discussing false claims about the 2020 presidential election on his daily talk show, which was also shelved. A billionaire Republican businessman told the New York Times, which first reported the firing, that Giuliani was given several warnings before he made the decision to terminate him from the radio station. From the steps of the Capitol, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson called on Congress last week to pass his new election integrity bill, which he claims will prevent non-citizens from voting in federal elections. The Safeguard American Voter Eligibility, or SAVE, Act proposes that anyone registering to vote in the United States elections must first provide proof of citizenship. This would be an amendment to the 1993 Voter Registration Act, which mandates people fill out a form swearing that they are U.S. citizens but does not require documentation. If passed, hopeful voters would need to prove their citizenship with a passport or birth certificate. And if the bill passes and is enacted, states will have 10 days to implement the new voting registration requirements. In sports, the Pacers and Nuggets got 2 wins this weekend against the Knicks and Timberwolves, respectively. The Pacers just simply destroyed the Knicks this Sunday, 121-89. The Nuggets squeaked by the Timberwolves 115-107 last night due to scoring 8 points within a 15-second stretch to end the first half that provided the margin of victory. Both series are tied at 2, Game 5 for both games being on tomorrow night. Now, from the hardwood to the ice, the Panthers hold a commanding 3-1 series lead in the Eastern Conference semifinals matchup against the Bruins with a 3-2 game victory in Boston. And as for the Canucks, in the Western Conference semifinal matchup against the Oilers, they lost home ice advantage, but they regained it last night with a 4-3 victory over the Oilers to now lead their best-of-7 series 2 games to 1. Turning our attention to weather across the U.S. In the Pacific Northwest, it'll be 76 and bright and sunny in Seattle. In the Midwest, it'll be 86 and partly cloudy in Minneapolis, partly cloudy and 80 in Chicago, partly cloudy and 69 in Detroit, mostly sunny and 83 in St. Louis. And on the East Coast, it'll be 59 and cloudy in Boston, rainy and 55 in New York, partly cloudy and 68 in the nation's capital. In the south, it will be partly cloudy and 86 in Miami, partly cloudy and 78 in Atlanta, cloudy and 82 in Memphis, and cloudy and 83 in New Orleans. In the southwest, it will be cloudy and 90 in San Antonio, thunderstorms and 81 in Houston. Be careful, H-Town. I know you had to deal with a lot of flash flooding last week. Hopefully, it will be manageable now. Thunderstorms at 68 in Dallas. It will be rainy and 66 in Denver, sunny at 94 in Phoenix, sunny and 93 in Las Vegas, and over on the West Coast will be partly cloudy and 61 in San Francisco. It will be sunny and 75 in Los Angeles. And that is your weather for today. And now you have been started up. Later this hour, we'll talk about wisdom being the principal thing. We'll also dive into Shaquille O'Neal getting into his diss track bag. But coming up next, caught up in the rapture of cancellations? I'll explain when you get back. You are watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. Be right back right after this.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Hey, Eagles fan. Join my man Cool McCain and a host of others as they break down every single game, every single week in an objective manner, and also from a fan's perspective as well. Remember, this cast feels just like you. Nobody likes you. And you don't care. Fly, Eagles, fly. Eagles Elite Podcast, every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on YouTube and other podcast outlets. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 Network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all. We ready, we ready, we ready for y'all.
The Lunch Break with AJ, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at noon Central. Well, welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. I am Cole Johnson, and let's greet the shifter, shall we? The Playmaker, and I've been on his show, Shooting Lights Out, as of recent, and enjoy him. Wonderful sports content creator. He definitely does football and basketball. That basically is his areas of concentration. He says, it's morning shift time. You doggone right it is. And another shifter, Ryan McCarthy, of No Credentials Required fame. He says, good morning, fellow shifters, and good morning to you, your shifter. And if you want to join Playmaker and Ryan, all you have to do is come up here live. Remember, this show airs live 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central every weekday on the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel and on the BS3 Network via Roku TV. And speaking of catching a program, you can actually catch the one that you see behind me. My man Wise El Jefe, one of the greatest interviewers that I know. Watch him at a guest take apart a subject matter and get into the matter in a conversational manner. That is Stuck in My Mind podcast. You can catch it every Monday, every Tuesday, and every Wednesday. And you can catch, of course, an episode today at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network via Roku TV and on the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. That is every Monday, every Tuesday, every Wednesday, Stuck in My Mind podcast on on the BS3 Network via Roku TV and on the Stuck in My Mind podcast YouTube channel. I really want to talk about this, but we might as well dive in. So here it is. It's Mother's Day weekend, and you're in Atlanta, and you've made plans to enjoy yourself. You get a chance to relive some of your glory days if you're a Gen Xer, or even if you're a younger baby boomer, by purchasing tickets for and attending a concert you've been waiting months to see. However, something happens when you get to the venue the day of the show. And actually, it happens minutes before the show is due to begin. In today's program spotlight, we will touch on Anita Baker suddenly canceling her concert date. So this past Saturday night, it's the night before Mother's Day, and you were about to get into full auntie mode. If I'm talking to females in the audience, you were singing her songs in the shower. You know, you were going, I'm caught up in the rapture of love. Nothing else can compare. Wanna feel it. You was doing all that in the shower. You was doing all that in the mirror. You were getting your hot dress on, and you were getting ready to go out. Oh, yes. You probably trying your best to croon while putting on all the finishing touches. You even blasted music in your car on your way to State Farm Arena in Atlanta, but when you had those plans, you did not count on what you gathered when you got there. Because if you had plans to see the legendary Anita Baker live in Atlanta this past Saturday night, you abruptly found out that who was going to attend that concert. That's because she canceled only 15 minutes before the show was due to begin. Now, of course, the blame game began right then and there with no other information at anyone's disposal. Event organizers even blamed unforeseen circumstances, sort of a Band-Aid to all of it, I guess, just minutes before the event was supposed to go on. But they didn't state nor detail nor express what those circumstances, foreseen nor unforeseen, were. An evening with Anita Baker ticket holders now can expect, and hopefully some have begun to receive their refunds on the card used to purchase them, according to the organizers at State Farm Arena. The venue was forced to scramble to make sense of what transpired and not have much, if any, information to say to the public to digest. The telling part about this cancellation, though, is there has been a press release from the Anita Baker team or PR department from her organization yet about what transpired, or really to the point, what didn't transpire Saturday night. What is alarming to me is this is the latest in a pattern of goings on with concert dates and the songstress herself. Speaking of the songstress, this is even in an isolated set of problems regarding Anita Baker and concert snafus in her songstress tour last year. In fact, not even a year ago. We're talking about June. So about 11 months ago, there was apparent sound check issue when they were due to perform in Newark, New Jersey. Because of that snafu, It was decided at the last minute that Babyface, who was a scheduled special guest joining Anita Baker on her tour, would not perform his set. And this was met with a lot of disgust, some vitriol, and a lot of anger from the concert goers who went to really see Babyface more than they went to see Anita. The controversy spilled onto social media, and Anita herself said that she was a target of cyberbullying. So she just simply made the decision to pull Babyface from the tour and finish the rest of those dates alone. And unfortunately, issues of being aloof and difficult have dogged Miss Baker almost ever since we got a chance to really know her. Now, all right, for those who are like, Anita Baker, who is she? Well, okay, well, we got the chance to really know her, and she already had music out, and I'll talk about that later. But we really got to know her with her Rapture album in 1986. Now, with songs like No One in the World, Same Old Love, and Caught Up in the Rapture, which of course I just sang earlier, she immediately endeared herself to us. But the song Sweet Love, that's what did it. That's what hooked us all. And this beautiful, rangy alto who could also write songs as well as sing them, and I mean write as well as she could sing, and she is a great voice, was becoming a force in the industry. And then, of course, it came her follow-up album, Giving You the Best That I Got. Now, released in the fall of 1988, Baker was ready to headline tours. Enter R&B supernova Luther Vandross, who, with Any Love, was releasing his latest LP. And both thought it would be a great idea to co-headline dates across the country in the fall of 1988 and December of 1988 to support the launch of both of their albums. The tour was financially successful, and how could it not been? I mean, they performed multiple dates in New York, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, D.C., Philly, Atlanta, Los Angeles, and Oakland. However, rumors swirled about difficulty on the tour. Some of them centered around who went on first and last. Others centered around the sound quality of their shows. The reputation for being difficult, though, was out there. And to be fair, 4 years later, when Luther went on to tour to support his Power of Love LP, he brought on In Vogue to open for him, and the quartet has publicly mentioned the myriad of rules which made life on the road difficult for them. So it wasn't just Anita who garnered the reputation for being difficult. I mean, Luther received the same type of criticism as well. However, both parties maintained that while there were disagreements, they were successful business partners. Back to the Mother's Day weekend kerfluffle. I was doing research on this very topic, and one of my content creation friends, shout out to you, Mr. Span, he asked this question. Quote, should Anita Baker retire from performing and touring? Close quote. I mean, she's 66, and from what all we can tell, she really doesn't need the money. She obviously loves singing and the connection with a live audience. And her voice seems to still be as vibrant and as strong as ever. So with all of these problems at hand, should she even consider? I mean, anyone around 65 should consider what makes them happy, whether it's to hang it up or soldier forward. And understand, Anita's been doing this for over 40 years now. I mean, you have to factor in her time when she was a lead singer, Chapter 8, and then her solo debut album, The Sauntress, back in 1983. So she's been doing this a good minute. And I don't think anybody would hate her walking away. But we would miss that husky tone that could soar into the heavens and soothe us with her contralto. We'd miss her passion and love of the craft. But if these types of things keep happening, the unfortunate part is the decision to hang it up or not will be made for her. Now, if you want to hear topics like this to be discussed and any more hard-hitting topics as well, tune in to the Information Man Show. He takes topics like this and others in any realm of life, breaks them down, and takes angles that you wish other news outlets did, and even give you something to think about along the way. That's the Information Man Show, live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. The Information Man Show, live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network via Roku TV and Information Man Show's YouTube channel. Coming up next, Shaq He's in his feelings once again. Oh my gosh. This is the morning shift with Cole Johnson on BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this. There's a 100% chance of a laugh thunderstorm. Four men with different viewpoints take a movie, show, or documentary and review it uncensored, unfiltered, uncompromised, with no holds barred. Join BS3, Wilkes, King Doc, and H-Rap B as they take on Hollywood their own way. BS3 Network proudly presents The Forecast, where H-Rap B always predicts,
if I owe you something, I ain't got it. And if you need it, get it from God.
live every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
I want to do a TED Talk, but I don't have anything to talk about yet. I'm getting there.
Life is for the living. We're not here that long.
You can learn anything you want to learn without any money spent.
What do I really enjoy? What do I really want out of life?
I am your host, WIZE.
Are you in a life-holding pattern? Well, this is for you. Welcome to the Stuck in My Mind podcast. Live every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
So, sit back, tune in, tell a friend. This Dope Cooking Show, we about to get started, and it's about to go down. Check me out.
Join your culinary master of ceremonies, Chef Jeff, as he introduces to you This Dope Cooking Show. Live every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central. Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. And before I continue, let's talk about it. So OJ Made in America, that is what's on tap for these gentlemen that I'm about to say right now. They will talk about the they'll talk about the documentary they did last week with part 1. Part 2 is on tap tonight. So if you join BS3, Mayhemmer, Wilkes, King Dog, and H-Rap B on the forecast, you will get what they believe or what they think of part 2 of OJ Made in America. That's live tonight and every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. That's the forecast live every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the BS3 Network via Roku TV and the BS3 Network's YouTube channel, and also the _forecast YouTube channel. Now, got that all out the way. Let's get back to the shifters, shall we, before we continue. And this is why I love the shifters. They are as diverse in their knowledge as I hopefully am myself. Ryan says, Sweet Love is an underrated ballad. It most certainly is. It's one of the greatest ballads I've ever heard. He also goes on and says, I didn't know Keith Sweat would be the opening act. And I'm thinking if 1988 would have happened, Keith Sweat would have had to be the opening act for either one. So there you go, for symmetry. And the playmaker said, oh, Lord, Keith Sweat made the morning shift. Oh, my gosh. Yes, he did. All right. So, Shaquille O'Neal. He's had Hall of Fame careers, no question about it. He'll go down as one of the most dominant forces the sport's ever seen. He'll also go down as one of the best to transition away from life from the sports arena to life away from it as well. And he did that in getting his doctorate and having multiple media platforms. But why, oh why, does he feel so disrespected and slighted at certain junctures? And why does he feel this way yet again? On today's cover story, we will uncover the criticism that is Shaq and his response, to the naysayers. So on the heels of learning that his first wife, Shawnee, publicly stated that she never loved him, the Big Diesel really handled it without a class. He said in response to that, quote, "I would have not loved me back then either." Close quote. So he handled this perceived critique and slight pretty well. Why not handle it the same way when it comes to fellow athlete turned media personality Shannon Sharpe? I mean, your guess is as good as mine as to how he could not just simply say, well, yeah, you're right. I may not agree with all of his points, but he does have a point. No. And so I probably would lean toward the fact that they have an athletic history, not together, but they have that as a shared common experience. And the appearance of competition. He's a former athlete, now is in the media and is an analyst. So I think you have that spirit of competition, and I think that is fueling it. Shaq had something to say to Shannon Sharpe or Shay Shay, and he decided not to say it in a statement, nor take out time on his podcast, the big podcast with Shaq, or being one quarter of Inside the NBA. No, he decided to put this on wax. Gosh, if Kendrick Lamar and Drake's latest rap beef couldn't capture the attention of sports fans, maybe Shaq's diss track to Shay Shay can. So here's this 52-year-old who still can go in the booth, but he took aim and took shots at Shannon amid their back and forth by releasing a diss track this past Friday. Now, the feud between the two media figures, it traced back to when Sharpe accused O'Neal of being jealous of the Nuggets center Nikola Jokic earlier this week. And for those who are unaware, the NBA last week, they awarded their MVP, and people thought that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander should have won it, but Nikola Jokic of the Thunder, Nikola Jokic won it, and he won that award for the third time in his career. Shaq has only won that award once. And so that gives you sort of a backdrop to it. So after Jokic won that third MVP award in 4 years, this past Thursday, O'Neal interviewed him on Inside the NBA, ultimately telling Jokic that he thought the award should have gone to SGA instead. Now, I will give Shaq credit. He did say this away from Jokic. And then he had the guts to actually say the same thing to his face. So I give him dap on that. If you're going to say stuff like that in private, you say the same stuff in public. I salute him on that. I salute him 100% on that. However, I don't salute him on the opinion, though. I salute him for the fact that he had the gumption to actually stand on business, as they say now. Sharpe found the criticism to be in poor taste, and he shared it on his podcast, The Nightcap, the one he shares with Chad Johnson or Ocho Cinco. And he believes that O'Neal, who only has one MVP from his time in the NBA, was partly envious of the fact that Jokic has 3. And then O'Neal, he already took shots at Sharpe on Instagram, saying basically he's not even ranked at the top 10 in his own profession. And he decided to fire off with a diss track as well. I'm going to make this really short and really sweet. Shaq, I love you, big man. I do, brother. I really do. I mean, you're in the same generation as me. I love the fact that you pour out positivity almost no matter where you are. You have a big heart. You have a bright mind. You do know the sport, and you and you are a big. And when I say baby, I'm not saying this in the negative sense. I'm saying in the positive sense. You're a big baby from the sense of you really love to have childlike joie de vivre when it comes to life, and I respect that. But big man. I know you still are angry at the fact that you only won one MVP and Steve Nash won two. I get that you're still angry about that, but you know what you can do? You can turn that on his ear and say, yeah, how many finals MVPs have I won? 3. Now, how many has Steve Nash won? 0. Guess why? He ain't even sniffed the finals. The closest he ever came was the conference finals. So you have, to me, a more important award that Steve Nash never could have had. And you still have, if you want to do it this way and puff up your ego, you still have scoreboard on Jokic. Yes, Jokic has 3 regular season MVPs to your 1, but flip that number around. With the finals MVP, he has 1, you have 3. And this is something about Jokic that I think you already know, and I thought you would know this better than me. Jokic could care less about the regular season MVP. He actually could care less about the finals MVP. He wants to raise the Larry O'Brien trophy again. It's like, look, the individual awards I don't care about. I want the big award. I want to celebrate my friends and go back to Serbia and say that I am the king of this sport with my crew. That is Jokic. And I think that is something you should celebrate, especially you being in the sport. That's something you should laud. That's something you should support. That's something you should big up. But for some reason, you don't want to do that. You're still caught up in the fact that you feel as though you got robbed of MVPs when you played. And that season's over, man. Guess what you still are? You still are one of the most dominant players of the game. You still are a Hall of Famer, and you still are one of the greatest figures that we will ever see in sports and ever come from sports. Your personality is as big as the state of Texas, and just stand on that, man. You don't have to stand on much of anything, but you can stand on that. You got 3 finals MVPs, you got 4 rings. And you played with some really good dudes in Penny Hardaway, Kobe Bryant, and Dwayne Wade. Now you didn't get a ring with Penny, but you got 3 with Kobe and you got 1 with Wade. Celebrate that, man. That is something to be proud of. Not to crap on the accomplishments that Jokic is doing. Big him up. Please, big him up. He deserves it. He's putting in work. And if people are wanting to vote him in with that honor, go with that. But big man, the regular season MVP is not the award you wanted to go after for the most anyway. You know that. Come on. Look, your opinion, I respect. Now, do I agree with it? No. But I respect it. And I also respect the fact you were man enough to say the same thing in Jokic's face than you did behind his back. So I'm happy to say that. I just think that your opinion, though, is coated in a lot of jealousy. And you should be more mature than that. And you know that, man. And I'm not saying this to say I'm ashamed of you. No. I'm saying this as sort of like an iron sharpening iron moment. Because I have felt slighted at times. I'm like, why is it that this person's getting the shine that I didn't get? And you got to realize that the shine that person's getting is not meant for you, because you're meant to have a unique shine all your own. And you know this. So be happy with the shine you got, bro. And be happy with the shine you're going to get. Because guaranteed you'll be seeing that big Serbian in the same circles as you, in the best big men to ever play in the NBA, and one of the best to ever play this sport. One of. But also be happy that Jokic, as dominant of a player as he is, he still can't hold a candle to you. That should be good enough. In fact, that is more than good enough. And that concludes today's cover story. And when we return, wisdom being the principal thing. Are we getting it? You're watching The Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. We'll be right back right after this.
What do you get when you watch or listen to the Life Happens podcast? Well, I'll let them tell you.
Kim and I are both ministers of the gospel, and Life Happens podcast is a beautiful balance by simply taking our spirituality with real life and merging it together to create a beautiful balance. And that's what we do.
BS3 Network proudly presents Life Happens podcast, where Christianity and life intersect. Live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central. Cool McCain.
You thought you wanted Gunther against Chad Gable, but you didn't. And I'm going to tell you why. Chad Gable would take everything that Gunther's done and bury it.
The Playmaker.
It was on site. AJ Styles walked out there, seen LA Knight. Oh, okay, then LA Knight hopped out the car. Let's go.
Break down everything in TNA, AEW, and all of the WWE programming. Join these two kings, monarchs of wrestling, live every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Central on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. Alicia.
You can't hold somebody to that standard if you haven't voiced what you want and what you're needing from that.
Mika.
If you're not communicating expectations, you're waiting for your feelings to be hurt.
Nicole.
Yeah. A lot of people don't want to take the time out to be alone and to get themselves together.
Ivan.
You got to be willing to work through stuff. And from the jump street, y'all done had problems. Maybe you don't need to be working through those.
BS3 Network proudly presents Queen 3 and King podcast. Live every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central.
Welcome back to the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on the BS3 Network. And speaking of which, the owner, the manipulator, and the operator of the BS3 Network, Benjamin Southern the Third, and my business partner. He says, good morning, Cole, and good morning, shifters. Good morning to you, the main shifter of all shifters. Cool McCain, one half of Monarchs of Wrestling, Eagles Elite podcast. I could probably go on, and I probably would go to the end of the show with all the shows he has, because he is one of the hardest working content creators I know. He says, good morning, good people. Good morning to you, sir. And many blessings to you. And you know why I say that. Ryan, he says, look, Shaq, he has a master's and a PhD in education, owns several businesses, and is practically on TV on a nightly basis. But he throws dirt on someone else's achievements? Shaq is childlike, yes. But in this case, he's acting childish. Oh, my brother. Testify. I'm sorry, my bad. Wrong show. Playmaker says, breaking news. Ravens and Chiefs. That will start off opening night. And that is in 4 months' time. That is NFL news, actually. Thank you, sir. And he also says, Bronny James has been medically cleared to play in the NBA. And now I'm about to throw up. But thankfully, I'm at a part of the show where I get to do the woosah and focus hard. Now, wisdom. It is powerful. It is always embraced, and it is always welcomed. Why do we want to repel from it, though? I think it is because we have this need of understanding that when wisdom is dropped, sometimes it is done so when we don't want to hear it. But I learned that no matter when the wisdom comes, whether it's in good or bad times, you need to hear all of it. Wisdom is a principal thing, and that is what we're going to talk about on this segment, Enlightening the Way. Now, we can think of wisdom in many different forms. I mean, it could come from a TV program, it could come from a book, it can come from a person, it can come from even your own experience. But no matter what, no matter how wisdom is packaged, no matter where it comes, no matter how it looks or from whom it looks, there's always a right time to receive wisdom. And if you have the wisdom and you have the maturity, there's always a right time to give it. Even when you don't think you need it, you always do. I'm sorry. Spoiler alert. Every one of us always needs wisdom. I don't care who you are. So I just think about Solomon. So here's this king or Kang in other circles. He followed his father David, and David had these grandiose ideas of wanting to give praise to God. He wanted to build a temple, and God was like, no. Look, you meant to wage these wars and just slay these enemies. That's what you do best. You're a warrior. That's why I plucked you all the way back when you killed the bear and you slingshot Goliath to death. No, you a beast on this field. You a beast on this battlefield. Your son will take care of the temple. And his son Solomon definitely did. In the beginning of his reign, Solomon actually said, Lord, you said you give me anything. I just want wisdom. And Lord was like, okay, I'll give you wisdom, and I'll give you the most money that that any monarch has ever received. So you be the richest and the wisest. And so he got to work, and he wrote a lot of wise things. And so here we are in Proverbs, in chapter 4 of Proverbs, and he dropped these nuggets. And I'm glad he dropped it. Quote, the beginning of wisdom is this: get it. Though it costs all you have, get understanding, or in all you're getting, get understanding. Cherish her, and she will exalt you. Embrace her, and she will honor you. Give her, I'm sorry, she will give you a garland in grace to grace your head and present you with a glorious crown. Close quote. Here's the best lesson to teach yourself. Be open to learning something all the time. Now, I had a conversation with my father yesterday, and it basically centered around wisdom. And it was something that I really didn't need, but it's something now, but it's something that I will need later. And so I took it with the intended understanding of this is something that I will need later. And this is one thing that I love about him. So he was a project manager. And so one of his managers came, one of the managers he hired came in, and he was wanting to work over a problem, and she helped him solve it. And I said, wait a minute, she's 3 decades your junior. How is it that you were able to accept that advice from her? And he said, look, man, you got to accept it. You got to accept wisdom wherever it comes. Doesn't mean just because I'm older does not mean that I know everything, because I don't. I learn all the time. So he was always and still is always a great student. And he went on to say, okay, well, when you apply the wisdom that given to you, because he always said this to me when I was growing up, it makes you look smart because you understand that you're applying certain things that work for other people. So if you're applying a lot of things that work for other people and it actually works for you, it makes you look really smart. And if you apply enough wisdom in your life, people will come to you and ask for it. That's the case with my father. And my father yesterday actually said that's the case with me. He said that, not me. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, and this is one of the wisest people I know. And he's saying that he comes to me for wisdom. Blew my mind. And finally, look, you got to understand that wisdom comes from on high. So from all the places you can gather it, it comes from God ultimately. So you got to rely on that source and rely on that source mostly. I should say rely on that source ultimately when dispensing advice. So no matter the time, no matter the place, no matter the circumstance, no matter the comfort, if you don't think you need that wisdom, get it. Because it's a matter of life and death for all of us, including you. And that is all the time I have. Thank you so much for joining me. And for all of us here at the History Network and the Morning Shift, I'm Cole Johnson, and I'm here to say to you in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, you most certainly will never conquer. Until we meet again until we get me again in 23 hours, have a wonderful day, everybody. See you tomorrow morning.